Hello, everybody, and welcome to the United Stand. Crikey, that was a ridiculous game of football, and not in a good sense. I'm joined by Jordan, Ricky, and Kev. How are we all doing, fellas?
All good, mate.
Yeah, all good. All good.
Yeah.
Just managed to get over the line.
Job done, never in doubt.
I want to start off by firstly giving a shout out to, I want to get this name right, Francis Azoho, the Omonia goalkeeper, because he played out of his skin today. And I think, he deserves, I think he's a big Man United fan. And I think someone tweeted or found a tweet from many, many years ago that he was actually tweeting De Gea saying that he was his idol and stuff. And I think he's turned up on the right occasion. But yeah, I want to start off with Kev's thoughts on the lineup. The lineup that we chose today, whether you were surprised on the lineup that we chose.
Surprised, yeah, I would say. The main thing for me is the midfield area, which is something we've spoke about many a times on the United Stand, getting that right blend in there. And let's take no disrespect to the Cyprians or anything. Fred and Casemiro, as a duo in midfield, for me, that's the kind of thing, knockout phase. If we get to that stage, maybe playing the likes of Barcelona or whatever, you might want to go down that route where you protect the back four. I didn't feel it was necessary today. And by playing two holding midfielders, Casemiro is good enough, I think, to do that job on his own. You don't need a Fred in there as well. And a lot of us have been interested to see whether Fred and Casemiro can play, because apparently for Brazil, they play well together. But for me, you're losing creativity at the other end of the field. So by playing them two and taking a player in Christian Eriksen, who I think has been absolutely pivotal for Manchester United this season, creativity, positivity, everything in that area of the field, you're taking something away from Manchester United. Malacia comes back in. He's had a few difficult games where he's been hooked at half-time. I'm sure that's something we'll get in with Ricky. I know he obviously prefers Luke Shaw in that position, which I can't argue with. But, on current form and that, Malacia has been given a chance. And this is where we are with Manchester United. It's a Europa League game. And some of us look at these kind of games. And in the past, we would have used them to bring through the kids, to give game time to other players. But at the minute, I think Erik ten Hag is trying to get his system. He's trying to get the spine of the team and players in, and he has to go with what he's got at the minute. And yeah, I think I can't say anything more than that on team selection, to be honest.
Yeah, and Jordan, Kev touched on there the fact that he's obviously wanting to kind of build on something. And I completely understand that. But do you think that look, I'm going to say no one here predicted for us to win the game 1-0. Obviously, I think I said 3-0. And in our group, I was probably one of the lower scores. Everyone kind of, going for 4s and 5s. But do you think that, personally, I was surprised to not see as much rotation. We only swapped 2 players, that being Malacia and Fred, from the game against Everton. Do you think, I know we need to win the game, but do you think it was a chance to maybe or start a few of the younger players? Obviously, as the game develops and goes on, you want to bring on your better players like your Eriksen, when, we need that goal.
Yeah, I think we would like to have been in a position where we could have played some youth players and players that we were sort of on the fringes of the first 11. But I'm kind of glad we didn't, to be honest, because, we've had 2 tough games against them in the sense that we couldn't get the ball across the line. So I think he needed to secure our position in the group, especially with the teams that are coming down from the Champions League. It's even more important that we finish top. There's some big teams coming down. I'm glad Eriksen had a rest, but I'm gutted that we had to bring him on. I agree with Kev about Fred and Casemiro in there. It seemed like we're playing a double pivot again, which is something that we're trying to get away from. You would have thought against a team like that, we would be in a position to just have Casemiro play in there and play a bit more advanced. We've actually liked to have seen Scott in there over Fred, just because we've seen Scott push forward a bit more. I was saying just before we went live, and I get Ricky's point, there's no guarantee that the chances would have fell to him, but I think that's a completely different game if Martial had played. I just think he's such a cold finisher, and in the form that he's been in, we probably would have went on to win 3 or 4-0. But at the moment, just with the way the chances are falling to Ronaldo and Rashford's just not being as razor sharp as you'd like him to be, we just can't get the ball over the line. And credit to the goalkeeper, he's had an absolute worldie. I remember a long time ago, us playing Blackburn, and Brad Friedel was in goal and had a similar game. And earned himself the nickname Superman because we literally could not beat him. So fair play to him, and for him to do it against the team that he supports in Manchester United, that's the game of his life.
And Ricky, kind of touching on, obviously, I know there's a big debate between yourself and whether we should be playing Malacia or Shaw, and obviously Malacia got the nod for the start today. Do you think that we saw why Shaw should be starting ahead of Malacia? What you kind of want, I guess, is when a player has been kind of dropped, when they come in, you obviously want to see a revitalized performance, I'd like to say. But again, it was a little bit lackluster, and I think when Shaw did come on, he brought a bit more energy into that side. But if you want to give your thoughts on the performances.
It's not just energy, it's composure, and passing it at the right moment and turning the right way when you get it, where it's the best place to play it as soon as you get the ball. Luke Shaw's just a miles better footballer. He's a miles better footballer. And the manager's beginning to see that. I don't know if you meant it like that, but you just said Malacia got the nod tonight. I'm pretty sure Malacia got a game tonight because Shaw's going to play in the league game, which he's deeming as more important on Sunday. I think he has realised now that Shaw's better. Of course, he hasn't had Luke Shaw under his wing before. He hasn't had Malacia under his wing before, but he was playing in the Dutch league. So obviously he was his player. And that's an important thing as well. When he signed him, you're going to think that he's going to want to show that the player that he's signed. So Luke Shaw, in the manager's mind, has got to be a lot better than that player to take his place. Not just a little bit, because he'd probably stick with the man who he's bought if he was only a little bit better. Do you know what I mean? So Luke Shaw's miles better than Malacia. And it's not just about enthusiasm. Malacia's full of enthusiasm. He's a more skillful player. He plays the right passes more often. He's just a better player.
Yeah, I mean, I think the stat was 79% possession or 78% possession throughout the whole game. I know it was 79 in the first half, and it was similar throughout the whole game. I mean, obviously, you're never going to get quite that amount of possession stats, Kev, in the Premier League. But that is obviously the kind of not necessarily game, but possession and passes that we're looking for. But it just didn't really seem to. We created so many chances, but Ricky said off air that we probably, out of the 30 odd chances we had, there was probably only like 5 or 6 that are clear cut. And you look at them, and obviously we should be scoring way more goals. But is there just basically, did we just get brought down to their level, do you think? Or is it just an issue, a deeper issue that we need to kind of solve moving forwards?
I don't see it. I don't see it as an issue. I'm not worried. I'd have been more worried the other night against Everton. The bread and butter for me is the Premier League. So if we drop points against Everton, then I think, yeah, it's an issue. And if we'd have played a game like that the other night against Everton, yes, it becomes an issue. For me, it's a really tough one to call. And as you said, a lot of us predicted 4-0, 5-0. Loads of people would. Not many people would have been, as a Man United fan going to Old Trafford tonight, predicting a 1-0 win. And this is their cup final. It's very difficult to play against a team like that. When you hear the commentator trying to put it into words and say that, in the 89th minute, if they can hold out here for a 0-0 draw, this will be the biggest result in their history. That's what it meant to them. And they were on their knees at full time. The fans, you can see some of them crying, the players and that. And that's where you sort of get dragged into that sentiment of thinking, you kind of feel awful for them. But as a United fan, you're thinking, well, we've just won the game. And on reflection, when you look back, possession statistics, shots on target, shots, whatever it is, we absolutely sort of peppered and dominated them. But 1-0, that for me, that's the main statistic that is there to be seen, that Manchester United have won this game 1-0. You have to be ruthless and look at it like that. Yeah, we can say, well done, lads, you know, lovely, well done, you give it a great go. You brought 4,500 fans over or whatever, and it is great for them. It's a chapter in their history, and a 0-0 result would have been part of their history. But, you know, we're here to win games, and I'm not saying it was ugly. You cannot say Manchester United won ugly. We got out of jail free. We've used that card in Monopoly or anything. We didn't this evening. I thought we thoroughly got what we deserved. Yes, we've left it late, but we did it so many times in the Sir Alex Ferguson era, and nobody looked at that and went, you know, oh, they were lucky today and that. It's just part of the character of a team, and we need to get that back because we've not had that for years. And you look at a result like this, it changes the total complex of the group in terms of qualification. We're back in the mix, and positivity. You have to look at it like that. Everybody, listen, if you can be a glass half full, glass half empty kind of character. However you want to look at it this evening, United have won it and put themselves in a great position now to qualify from this group. Because if it finishes 0-0, you start looking at it and go, whoop, you know, this is looking a bit dodgy. We've done the business, man.
Yeah, and Kev, I'm not sure what Ten Hag would say in the interviews after the game, but maybe he might look at it as another show of, you know, kind of we stuck at it and the resilience showed by his players, rather than, you know, again, as Kev is saying, the showing the half glass full rather than half glass. Oh God, words mixed up there. glass half empty. There we go. Get it out eventually. But yeah, I mean, would you say? I mean, obviously, look, we've touched on it before that, you know, we should be beating this team with kind of second and third string players, but a win is a win. Is that how you're looking at it as well?
Who was that for, mate?
Ricky, sorry.
Oh, sorry, right. I like Kev's enthusiasm, but I mean, we've got to appreciate what this team are like. You know, where these are from. And we've got a £90 million right winger. You know, we've got Cristiano Ronaldo, one of the, you know, greatest players ever. Suppose, you know, well, he is one of the greatest players ever, but he's obviously about 37, coming up 38. Rashford on the left wing. We've got Bruno at number 10, who's, you know, everybody loves him. I think Bruno's absolutely shocking. I think he's horrendous. Absolutely horrendous. That's one of the reasons why we can't score goals. We can't score.
We'll touch on him later on.
Yeah, we can't score goals because we're not moving the ball around slickly enough. There's not enough slick passing going on. And then Bruno, more often than others, is the one who tries a little ball over the top. And then I hear people, you know, when I say a little ball over the top, I'm talking when he's in the middle of the field and he should just pass it wide and show more patience. We've got to move it. And then he gets it and he over the top out for a dead ball, or over the top and it's an easy header away. We need to start passing it better. And Bruno's one of the biggest problems. And we've had, well, he's only one of the biggest problems. The managers over the years, this seems to be a common thing now. We're playing with a left-footed right winger, with a right-footed left winger. They want a cut inside to shoot. They're making the pitch smaller. So as much as I'm saying I'd like to see Bruno passing it out to the wings, our wingers are on the wrong wings. We want to be trying to get round the back. You've got Ronaldo in the middle. When a winger cuts in from the right and he cut with his left foot and he curls a shot in, a cross, it's going towards the goal. It's much more easy to defend against than a cross that's coming across the face of the goal from say within 10 yards of the dead ball line. If you can get to the dead ball line and pull it back, even better. But crosses that are coming in from in that last 10-yard space straight across the face of the goal are much more difficult to defend against. So Anthony tonight, I lost count of how many crosses he put in, and the defenders are facing the way they want it to go back out that way. You know what I mean? When it's coming across their own goal, it's difficult. So it's too easy to defend against. The pitch is too small, and it's just Anthony scored 3 goals in the league. Fantastic. Rashford scored a few goals, but the pros do not outweigh the cons in playing the wrong-footed wingers on these wings. And lots of clubs are doing it. I get that. And I'm called me old-fashioned, but I am adamant that we would be better if we had a right-footed right winger and a left-footed left winger.
And Ricky, that is where you say about service, right? If and Jordan touched on a point earlier about if Martial played this evening, he's a cold finisher. We've got a player there that's scored 700 club career goals. You know, if anyone is a cold finisher, it is Cristiano Ronaldo. What service did he have this evening? You've got Anthony, Rashford, can't even beat the first man. We're talking the basics of football. Corners, non-existent. You know, you might as well.
Bruno's
absolutely no point.
Today, the lad had to dive to it. You know, it's talk about not beating the first man on the corner. He's not even got a jump to head it away. He's not even got to stand still to head it away. He had to dive.
Yeah.
This is when you talk about quality. There's quality in how you kick a ball, and there's quality. I'm talking about a dead ball. Now, I'm deadly serious here. When you're taking a corner, nobody can challenge you. You've not got to bust a gut to get to the ball. You've not got to beat anybody. The ball's lying on the grass, and you're taking the corner. Now, I've played lots of Sunday League football, and I've watched a lot of Sunday League football, and I don't see corners coming in as bad as that so often as I see it from Bruno. Now, because there's nobody challenging you, the ball's there on the grass. Just lift it over them defenders, and it's such an easy thing to do, and we get it wrong so badly. Somebody was talking to me about Haaland's goals for City and how many would he have for us. If he was playing for us, he'd have about 5 because he's not getting the service.
Yeah.
He scored, he scored against us from the corner. He ain't going to get a corner like that. You know, not as often. Not as often.
I think. Go on, John.
Just quickly, Rowan's saying here that Bruno's job is to create chances, not to run all over the ground. If he wants to run, he should go in a marathon, not on the pitch. Also, George is saying, not sure why people are complaining about today's game. We controlled and dominated the game. Final third was lacking, but I still see this as a step in the right direction. We need more men in the box and more quality crosses. I mean, it's all things that obviously we can. I mean, I've got loads of things written down, and obviously we can dissect. But crossing was definitely one of them. And Ricky's brought up a great point there that I feel like in the first half, crossing, and we go to Jordan on this, crossing, it seemed like we were a bit tentative to cross. And then when we did cross, it was awful, like to the point, like you might as well have just not crossed at all because it wasn't, you know, it was either over hit or under hit. Even ones that might have gone to the, you know, the right person, they're not beating the first man. And it's not just crossing during open play; it's through corners, free kicks, it's the lot. And it was just a constant disappointment. Every corner, it was like, well, nothing's going to amount to this because it's not even going to get where we want it to go.
Yeah. What happened to this set piece specialist that we brought in to work with the team? Because I honestly feel like it's gone backwards since that announcement was made that we were bringing someone in to work with us. I just we're so bad at set pieces, and you're right. You know, it potentially is a free route to goal, and we are good at picking up free kicks and winning corners, but we just seem to make absolutely nothing of it. The comment about the wingers, I think, is a great point. It's something that I noted down. The wingers and the fullbacks never seem to get to that dead ball line. Like, get to that dead ball line, fizz that crossing, and it isn't happening. And I'm one that's always been a massive fan of Bruno, but I am massively, massively frustrated with him now that he's playing so far forward. And you look at a game today where Eriksen's rested, you'd want him to drop that a little bit further back and actually be the creator rather than trying to be on the end of things. And it is worrying. But we also got to remember that, you know, we're only in the first phase of this rebuild. Sorry, my daughter's just come in. Give me 1 second. Sorry, guys.
All good. We can go to. All good. We can go to Ricky on this because I know obviously he's got some choice words to have about Bruno Fernandes, and I feel like a lot of this conversation kind of not necessarily revolves, but is to do with Bruno. But just as a roundabout point, do you think it's time now for Bruno Fernandes to have some time spent on the bench? Just quickly, we're going to have some super chats coming, so I'm just going to read these. Zane, how will you finish top 4? Also, I think conference, I'm guessing he means Conference League is more your level. Classic Zane. He loves a bit. He loves a bit of the banter, doesn't he? But Jensk is saying again, Erik ten Hag is out of ideas already. Wake up. Personally, I disagree with that.
Rubbish.
But yeah, personally. But back to Bruno. Ricky, do you think that it is time for him to spend some time on the bench? You know, as kind of a go sit in the naughty corner for a bit. You're not playing too well.
Charlie, I've been saying that for 2 years, to be honest. You know what I mean? It's not a new thing with me. We've got to look after the ball better. We've got to play more passes, slicker passes. We've got somebody just I can't remember who sent a super chat in. You read it out. Who said he's supposed to be creating chances? I think was the phrase. No, he isn't. We don't need to be looking at things like that. We've not got special players like Kevin De Bruyne, who's passing the ball, and then making the chances as well because his passing's that good and his crossing's that good. What we need to be doing is concentrating on keeping the ball and trying to get the wingers in behind and trying to get the fullbacks in behind. We do not need our midfield players looking to create chances. When there's a chance on to be created or a through ball, which is very rare, it's very rare in football. Probably happens once every 2 games where we want a through ball. Casemiro put one through against Everton and maybe once a day when Rashford could have scored today. But the through balls, you can't be looking for one person to be doing that. There's no point saying he should be doing that because it might not come to him. That wide gap that the ball needs shoving through, like Casemiro did at Goodison, the ball might not be with Bruno when the opportunity's on. And he's trying to do it when the opportunity isn't on. So we need to stop thinking about, you should be being more creative. You should be making more chances. You need to be passing the ball better. You need to be looking for the wingers better. And you need to be getting it and giving it more often without thinking about, I've got to make a chance. And without thinking, I've got to have a shot. His shooting today was horrendous, by the way. Horrendous.
Yeah, it wasn't great. And Louis actually saying here that in his opinion that Bruno's not a number 10, that he's actually better in the 6 role. Kev, we'll come to you. Do you think it's good to obviously get other people's opinions on this, but do you think it's time that Bruno does have some time on the sidelines to kind of, reflect? And it is, I agree with Jordan on this because I am a big fan of Bruno Fernandes, for kind of what he has done for us. And it's almost hard for me to, but I do agree that he should probably be benched. And David's saying here as well that Bruno can't create if other players are crap. Interesting choice of words. But I mean, I think, Kev, do you think it's time for Bruno to, have some time out?
I don't think there's anything wrong with taking a player out the team. Now, you can talk about confidence or whatever. What you want to see is a reaction from that player. What you have got at the minute is a player like Luke Shaw, which in the press, he said all the right things. He said, yes, Malacia has come in, he's played well, but it's up to him as an individual to work hard and get back in that squad. Some people might think that's very familiar with what a lot of Manchester United players say. This, we move on, working hard, all this social media stuff. But Luke Shaw is in the position now where, yes, I think he should be starting on Sunday against Newcastle. A player like Bruno Fernandes, it does no harm because I want to try Eriksen in that position. I'd love to see somebody who keeps the ball, is a better passer of the ball. I think he's been absolutely pivotal to everything we have done this season. And maybe it showed slightly this evening by not starting him. And the fact that Erik ten Hag has had to look and go, I'm going to have to actually bring him on here. I need to win this game. That's testament to Eriksen and the season that he's had at Manchester United. I think he's been brilliant. But Fernandes, I mean, listen, Ricky's just touched on it about mentioning De Bruyne. That there was actually a debate at some stage, was Bruno Fernandes better than Kevin De Bruyne? I'm sorry, the different leagues. When you're talking about a through ball and a pass, you look at the pass that Kevin De Bruyne played in the Manchester derby that cut out 2 central defenders within a split second.
As well, isn't it?
Yeah. Within a split second, plays a pass as delicious as that when you know that you've got Haaland on the end of that literally to tap it in. And some people were arguing, saying David De Gea was at fault. He didn't come out quick enough. He didn't come out quick enough because he didn't even know what was happening within that split second. That is because Kevin De Bruyne is so switched on He's switched on with the player that's in front of him, knows he's going to be there, knows he can just launch that ball, plays it to precision. And I'm sorry, but at this minute in time, and I've not, has Bruno Fernandes ever done that for Manchester United? Am I being too harsh on him?
Yeah.
Is it because he's not linked up with a striker, that he's on that same wavelength? Has he not connected with? I don't know. We have changed it up front many, many times, but De Bruyne and, Haaland haven't been playing that long together, but De Bruyne has done that constantly. And that's where, for me, he's levels above him.
Can I just jump in on that? Because we have to remember how good Bruno was when he first came to us.
Yeah.
So let's remember that. And I've sung the Bruno song for long enough, and I am frustrated with him. But I think the problem we've now got is that Ten Hag has made him captain. So we're now in a very similar situation to how we were with Harry Maguire and Ollie. That's the guy that he's nailed his flag on the mast for, and he's made him captain. So how does he suddenly drop him out of the team? I'd love him to, but I just can't see him getting dropped. And the issue is that we're then risking burning Eriksen out, and without the two of them, there's just a zero lack of creativity coming through the middle of that team. Van de Beek's not offering anything. We don't really get the creativity from Scott or Casemiro. So we have got a big problem. And this is what I'm saying. Now, we're only in the first phase of the rebuild. And we kept saying that we needed 8 to 10 players to come in to galvanize that squad. We are still going to need new bodies. And I think, he's going to learn now from the summer to the January transfer window about this squad. And hopefully identifies that he does need to bring someone in to add that creativity through the middle and work on the wingers. Because I really do agree with Ricky. We should be getting so much more from those wingers, whether it is a case of swapping sides or whatever the answer is. The creativity has to be coming down the wide side of the team as well as through the middle. And at the moment, it's not coming from anywhere unless Eriksen's creating something.
Yeah, Krishna says here, set pieces were awful, so agreeing with us. Ronaldo didn't receive any quality passes. Bruno, Fred and Sancho underperformed. Rashford could have finished with more conviction. We can move actually on to talk about Sancho a little bit. I thought that when he did come on, he looked like he'd been given a slap on the wrist almost, by Ten Hag, and he looked like he was trying that little bit more, although things didn't sometimes work out for him. Kev, do you think that he kind of has now or is trying to prove himself or was trying to prove himself in that game?
Yeah, I won't lie. I am slightly worried about Sancho. And the funny thing is, I remember doing a show with Ricky very, very early on before I think we'd announced we'd signed Sancho. And I think Ricky more or less said, what's the point? Within a couple of months, he won't be anywhere near the first team. And I remember kind of rolling my eyes at that time. And it was like, wow, we really signed, paying all this money for a player that's going to come into this squad and not be near the first team. And at the minute on current form, I look at him, is he trying too hard? I don't know. Is there such a thing as trying too hard? We paid very good money for him. We know what he did at Borussia Dortmund, he stat-wise, assists and that. And at the start of the season, you've seen glimmers of it, and it just seems to have fizzled out. Now, he's been taken out the team for a reason. You have to look at that. And you can't just say, his confidence has been knocked because he can't get a run in the team. He's not getting a run in the team at this moment in time because there's other players that are kind of superseding him. So in that sense, I am slightly worried because I keep looking and I'm hearing these good things about what he did at Dortmund, and I'm thinking, is he all that? I really don't know.
Yeah. It is. Go on, Ricky. Sorry.
When we started poorly against Brighton and Brentford, let's just put them to one side. We then turned it round, didn't we? We beat Liverpool, we beat Leicester, we beat Southampton before we played Arsenal. So we won 3 games there. In those 3 games, Sancho was playing on the right. I think he scored against Liverpool, didn't he? I think he scored against Leicester. 2 goals from a winger in 3 games. And I know Anthony's got 3 in 3 games, but neither of them will be able to keep that rate up, by the way. So it's just the same. It's no big deal of difference. So he scored twice in 3 games. And it's not about who scores the goals. I always say that, but people do look at that to sort of say, oh, he's playing great. So I think in most people's eyes, for a winger to have scored 2 goals in 3 games, he was playing great. I thought he was playing well anyway when he was playing on the right. Then Anthony signed, and Anthony took his place. When Anthony took it, and now Anthony is like I just spoke about Malacia. Anthony is the manager's player. The manager signed him. I think he was a hell of a lot of money. He was in 90 million or something ridiculous.
That's a lot, yeah. He's
obviously not going to lose his place, not for some time to come, so long as he plays at least as well. Now, in my opinion, he's only playing as well, no better, than Sancho was playing when he was playing on the right. Now, Sancho got switched to the left, and in my opinion, has been poor on the left. But he wasn't poor when he was playing on the right. You know, a 1-0 win at Southampton, a 1-0 win at Leicester, a 2-1 win at home to Liverpool. I also look at the defensive capabilities. The right-footed players defend better on the right, whether you're a full-back or a winger. Left-footed players defend better on the left. We only let 1 goal in 3 games there. We're letting goals in for fun now in the league, even though we're getting decent results apart from against City. So I think Sancho was unlucky to lose his place. I thought he was playing okay. It didn't need fixing, and I don't think it's got any better. I really don't. Now then, he got switched to the left, and Elanga got left out, and I thought Elanga was playing all right on the left, and I think Sancho is not playing as well on the left as Elanga was playing. Now I know Rashford's now coming, but it's just a mishmash to me. We've spent £90 million on a winger, and we've gone either. At best, we've took sideways steps on both wings after spending that £90 million on a winger. At best, we've took sideways steps. I think we've probably gone off a little bit on both wings. I thought we were better with Sancho and Elanga than we are now with Anthony and Rashford.
Yeah, a few super chats here to read out. George is saying, if we take Bruno out, who comes in his place? I don't think we take Eriksen out from that deeper position. Martial or Sancho, probably. The world of Louis is saying Erik ten Hag needs to be held accountable. Why are we playing with 2 CDMs at home? Open it up. Erik ten Hag got it wrong. It'd be interesting to get your guys' thoughts on this as well. But David is saying too many individuals in this team. We don't play as a unit. Everyone hoping that somebody else will drag them out the gutter. No leaders. But what I kind of want to lead this on to next, and I've got a almost player comparison because obviously Eriksen did not start. I can't remember exactly how much game time he got. Was it about 20 minutes? 20 minutes? Yeah. So, I mean, initially what I've got down here is that I'm wanting to compare how different the styles or how different the team ticks in comparison to when Fred's in the team and when Eriksen is in the team. But I think we can bring Bruno into the conversation as well, because I think Eriksen does make the team better and the players around him better. And Jenska's just super chatting here just now, just saying in Ricky we trust. So, or thrust. I mean, I'm not sure which direction he's going with there. Hoping it's trust.
That's a different meaning.
But Jordan, do you? I mean, look, we all can see how different it is. Swiftly moving on. We can see how different the team is. You know, when Eriksen isn't involved. We all did say that he did need a rest at some point, but you know, I mean, it's always going to be difficult when he's the one coming on and they're putting 10 men behind the ball. But there was a difference when he came on today, you know, when you compare him to the likes of Fred.
Yeah. He's got the ability to unlock defenses. You know, he's very similar to sort of, I think the only player we've had in recent times that reminds me of, to a degree, is a Mata that can just find that pass out of nothing and can unlock those teams where they just park the bus against you. Fred isn't that guy, and he's never going to be that guy. He's never shown any sign of being that kind of player. It's interesting, this whole Brazil thing about Casemiro and Fred playing together and Fred playing further forward. You know, I remember when, I think it was when we did shows 11 back in the day, and he was talking about, you know, we're just not playing Fred in the right position. If he's further forward and his ability to be able to create, we'd see something different. But I just can't see it. He isn't that guy. Ultimately, the onus needs to fall on Bruno. You know, whatever way you dress it, Bruno should have been that guy. And Bruno needs to be that guy. He needs to stop playing as a second striker, drop further back and become that creator. On the point of the double pivot, I think myself and Kev both mentioned it. that was not needed today. I really just don't think it was needed. We should have had. Yeah, it is negative. You're at home. You're playing against a team. I think, Ricky, you described them as a fourth division, wasn't it? Or
yeah,
what division?
I might be a bit harsh, but yeah, they certainly wouldn't survive if they were playing in our championship. They certainly wouldn't.
Oh no, definitely not. They'd get absolutely cooked in the championship. Yeah, you don't need to play two defensive-minded midfielders. No, when one of them's Casemiro, I just don't think it needs to happen, especially when the other one, Fred, doesn't have the ability to go forward, which is why I'm saying I would have started Scott, because we've seen McTominay push forward and pick up balls from the edge of the box and shoot, and has a decent shot on him. So yeah, I just my thing is just I'm really, really disappointed in Bruno tonight. These are the kind of games where you expect him to go out and massively influence the game, especially with Eriksen not playing. That was his chance to prove a point that he's still top dog in that team, but it didn't happen.
I've been saying for a year or two that we're not going to keep consistent run of form of victories unless we can start scoring some goals. I was saying it last season, all season, and already this season. I'm happy with the run of form. When you think about the league games at the minute, 5 wins out of 6. All right, forget the City game. You know, it's a bit stupid going out and so attack-minded, but forget the City game. They can do that to anybody. So the other 5 games are all wins, including wins against Arsenal, wins against Liverpool. But 4 out of 5 of them are by the odd goal. 4 out of 5 of them are by the odd goal. And this is when we were winning last year. Most of them are by the odd goal. You know, I'm not suggesting we could be like City and getting 4s and 5s and 6s all the time, but we've got to start winning by 2 or 3 occasionally, or a bit more often, because some of them 1-goal wins are going to turn into draws or even defeats. We've got to start scoring more goals. And the reason we're not been scoring more goals, it was the same last year. Inverted wingers, Bruno at number 10, too far forward, shooting too often, trying too many through balls instead of feeding the wingers. Having said that, is there any point in feeding the wingers when they're not going to get the crosses in? It's just a mess. It's just a mess.
Yeah, and I feel like a broken record because near enough every super chat I read is to do with crosses. Louis is saying here, poor or no crosses. It's because left-footed players on the right and right-footed players on the left. No service for Ronnie. And I mean, we can actually touch on kind of Ronaldo's performance. We'll go to you on this, Kev. Do you think, I mean, look, at first, I thought in the first half a little bit, sometimes we seem to force the ball to Ronaldo to maybe hoping that he's going to create something out of nothing almost, or get that little flash shot away. But I mean, in the second half, it was just one of them nights where, we could have had another 99 shots and wouldn't have scored another one, just that one goal that somehow, out of all the chances, it makes its way through all the bodies. But I mean, in my opinion, I don't know if it's just in the players' minds that when they're playing with Ronaldo, it's like, we've got to get this guy to score. I don't know if it's like a subconscious thing, or I know it must be, well, it shouldn't be daunting, right? It should, they've been playing with him for long enough. But just quickly before you go on that, Kev, I'm just going to read these super chats out quick. Tom says they need to pass, shoot and score. I mean, that's what we all hope they're going to learn how to do. Jenski's saying, why all this woke dudes on the show? Ricky, spot on. There you go, Ricky. You have a fan. So Kev, what do you think of Ronaldo? Because obviously he's going to be the man going forward for a while. Martial injured again. Obviously Ronaldo's Ronaldo. We know what he can do. We just need him to maybe step up that little bit more. Maybe just needs that match fitness. I'm not sure what your opinions are.
Do you know what? Like you just said, the players and the fans know what Cristiano Ronaldo can do. And we've been subjected to a game today where we've watched it. Yes, we've got wingers that aren't playing on the right side, this, that. You basically feed Ronaldo. We've touched on it earlier, 700 career goals. Some players don't even make that in appearances in a season. He scored 700 goals. And today, service-wise, how many crosses made it into him? How many sort of clear-cut chances? Anything like that never happened. And there is an argument that Bruno Fernandes doesn't play as well when Ronaldo's in that team. Are some players in awe of him? They shouldn't be. They should be inspired by him. You hear all the right things, but the likes of Anthony saying, you know, it's brilliant to train with him and that should rub off on the younger players. But for me, you've got a player there, if you play to his strengths, you've got one of the greatest all-time goal scorers in the history of football. Yet Manchester United, when they start him in that position as being our out-and-out number 9, playing up front, never, ever, ever play to his strengths. Now, I have said that Manchester United, whenever Ronaldo plays, I'm not going to degrade him as saying he is a problem. There is a lot of people that say, especially in the media, that Ronaldo is a problem, the problem at Manchester United. He isn't a problem. You just need to adapt your tactics when you play, because you know he's not going to press from the front. He's not that 18-year-old that burst on the scene at Old Trafford against Bolton, come on as a sub and change the game. He will not do that. He's not a winger anymore. You play to his strengths, right? You just have to adapt. Maybe a couple of other players have to put more of a shift in and press because he's not going to do that. But ultimately, at the other end of the pitch, and it sounds so easy, but you give him service. And look at Goodison midweek. You know, that's not even a big chance. You know, Casemiro plays a ball through. He's still got a lot of work to do against England's number 1 in Pickford and makes it look very, very simple. And for the rest of that game, not a lot of service, really. You know, gets an important goal. But again, there's no service for him. And I don't know whether that's because Manchester United trying to plan without him. They don't see him as the linchpin of the team. But for me, he gets absolutely zero service, absolutely nothing tonight in a game where maybe before it and you've seen the starting 11, you'd think Ronaldo's going to have, you know, hat trick today, or, you know, he's going to have a feast there. And it just never come. And that's the reason Ronaldo in a United shirt at the minute looks such a frustrated figure, I think, because they're not playing to his strengths.
That is. Go on, Jordan.
No, I was just going to say, like, I think every time, you know, I did it today, when the team come out, I see Ronaldo up front, I'm like, he's scoring 2 goals or more, easy, because we're thinking of the Ronaldo that we used to know, and we're thinking of a midfield that creates chances like we used to create chances. But he ain't the Ronaldo that he was, and we haven't got the midfield that we used to have, and we have to sometimes put it into, you know, perspective where we're actually at. This thing about him not being match fit, or, you know, still waiting for him to get up to a level of fitness. We're in the middle of October now. If he ain't fit now, he ain't going to get fit this season. And if fitness is an issue, then he's got to start playing behind closed doors games and turning out for the youth or whatever it takes to get him up to speed, because we can't keep carrying somebody through games if they're not fit. Not that I'm saying he's not fit, but a lot of people seem to be saying that he isn't, if that makes sense. I never used to be his biggest fan, but I really do feel like we are missing Martial for the form that he's shown over pre-season and when he's played games this season. And I totally get Ricky's point about chances not falling to him, but I just look at Ronaldo and the way he is, and he just seems to be waiting for something to come to him. Whereas Tony will drop a bit deeper and try and make something happen, beat a man, and he just seems to be a really cold finisher. And he's shown it in times in his Man United career, but he's definitely showing it this season. And it is a big miss, I think. And I think Ten Hag definitely planned on that whole Rashford, Martial, Sancho or Anthony sort of combination. And I do feel we are playing a different way because we've got Ronaldo up top. And not just because it is Ronaldo, but we don't seem to create a lot of chances for our strikers anyway, regardless if it's Ronaldo, Martial, whoever else. So we do need that striker to be a bit more mobile and get him to drop a bit deep and try and make something happen.
Well, Jordan, sorry, you talk about set pieces at Manchester United. You've had a little joke there earlier. This set piece coach. How many games did we go through? Was it 40-odd games without scoring a goal from like a corner or whatever? Yeah. Last season against Tottenham, you know, one of Ronaldo's biggest attributes is being able to rise like Michael Jordan almost, hang in the air and score a goal. Against Tottenham last year, a goal from a corner, which was a perfectly placed corner. Ronaldo, boom, you know, have a bit of that. You know, when has that happened, you know, since then? Manchester corners, set pieces, whatever you want to call it. I keep saying about service, it doesn't happen for him.
So yeah, I agree with that, but I think we were under Ollie playing in a different way to try and get the best out of Ronaldo. And you could see that from the goals that Ronaldo scored in comparison to his nearest rival in the team. The goals are definitely more spread around now, around the midfield and around the attackers. And that's because we are playing a different way. I feel like with how the lack of mobility Ronaldo now has, we have to play in a really direct way to make something happen for him. That interchanging of the front three doesn't seem to happen with Ronaldo now. And that, I love him, but I'm saying what I'm seeing. I don't see somebody that is mobile enough and is dropping deep to try and create something.
Yeah, it must be really frustrating for Martial. Obviously, I think it's pretty clear he's probably been told that he's Erik ten Hag's man up front, and he just can't seem to get a string of games together. But Kevin is saying here, if it would have been Bruno instead of McTominay, he would have put it over the bar. It's interesting, to be fair, because I think it was like a good 2 maybe minute earlier, McTominay skies one straight over the bar, and I thought he was actually injured from that shot. But George says here as well, final point on crosses, our fullbacks are clearly now making more of underlapping runs. Couple that with inverted wingers, crosses are bound to reduce. But Ricky, I want to come to you on this final point before we do move on. We're going to try something new for the last 10 minutes or so. We're going to try and do a little Q&A where the viewers obviously send in some questions for us to answer, but it just had to be Scott McTominay to score the winner, didn't it, Ricky? Obviously, you're a big fan of Scott McTominay, and yeah, it was a well taken goal. Really, it's just kind of one you didn't expect to go in, considering everything else, that kind of fell short or got blocked or went wide.
Yeah, I don't. A lot of people make that mistake of saying I'm a big fan of Scott McTominay. I just think he's decent. That's all. And when we had Fred and McTominay and Beth coined the phrase McFred, I was pleading with people to stop saying McFred. McTominay's 5 times the player Fred is. 5 times the player. And I've said it, but that's not bullying up McTominay. It's how poor Fred is. So do you see the one today where the ball bounced on the touchline and that lad ran past him and headed it past him and ran through? He's just not strong enough. He's just no good. He shouldn't be playing Premier League football. Fred is shocking. Shocking he is. So that's why. So it's more about that he was the best of a bad bunch. It's best of a bad bunch. And then obviously this season, right at the start, I said it's got to be McTominay and Eriksen. It's got to be McTominay and Eriksen. And then the manager didn't realise it. He played Fred and Eriksen at Brentford. We're 4-0 down at half time. He takes Fred off. He brings McTominay on, and then Fred's not started the game since. And I know McTominay seems to be just losing his place to Casemiro now, but I think that's fine. I think it is. Let's hope it goes well again. Obviously, McTominay can't play on Sunday. He's suspended, isn't he? So I also hope it goes well. But Casemiro's doing okay. But on the goal tonight, by the way, somebody said Bruno would have smashed it over the bar. I haven't studied it again. I saw it live, obviously, and I haven't really just studied it dead careful. But I think he takes a touch, and I think he drags it back, moves it out of his feet, and smashes it in. Don't underestimate that in a crowded 18-yard box. Do not underestimate that. Bruno, I don't think Bruno would have got a shot in. He probably would have tried to shoot while there was a crowd of players in front of him, and he would have hit the players. It's a really, look, don't get me wrong, he's not playing against the best team in the world. But as far as all the rest of the players have been playing, it was a great goal that tonight that he scored. A great goal.
Yeah, I mean, look, he did what I guess the manager was kind of bringing him on for, I guess. Ben saying here, I love Ronaldo, but I feel what he wants, he gets, better or for worse for the team. I feel like he always has to be centre of attention. I mean, we have obviously already touched on Ronaldo, but as I say, we're going to use this last 10 minutes or so as a little Q&A. So get your questions in. It doesn't have to be super chats. We're just going to kind of bring the questions up on screen. Obviously, it doesn't have to just be for me. It can be for kind of any of the guys, and we can direct any questions to do with anything, obviously to do with the game. We don't want any silly things happening around here. We've already had the words Ricky and thrust in the same sentence. I feel like we've had enough giddy time for a while. But I mean, quickly, just before, obviously, while the questions come in, I want to put an emphasis on. I think I heard it was the 33rd attempt on goal where we actually scored. It took us that many attempts, which is quite staggering. I think even at, I can't remember whether it was half time or whether it was at the end of the game, where the commentator said that it was the most chances or most shots that, you know, a team has, I don't know if it was ever had within the Europa League, you know, against an opposition goal. It's kind of crazy, really. But we'll have a first question here. Why do you guys always give Rashford a pass? We'll start with Jordan. I mean, I personally don't think we give him a pass.
I don't give Rashford a pass. I get called out for hammering Rashford. I like him. I just think I always say this. There's Rashford games and there's no Rashford games. I don't think he's a number 9. I think he's better from the wing. I don't think he's great against a low block. I think teams that come out and attack us and they space behind, he's absolutely devastating. Maybe one of the best players in our team at that. But today's game is really ineffective, and we just need more from him.
Yeah, it's. I mean, look, he started really well. Obviously, he had that shot saved quite early on, and looked like it was kind of from the first 5 minutes. He looked like he was going to get a hat trick within the first 15. It looked pretty certain. But Alban is saying here, we'll go to Ricky actually on this one. Should Sancho start against Newcastle? Obviously, this is a bit of a difficult one to answer, but
I would start him, but it's a bit of a moot point, really, isn't it? Because the manager's never going to do what I'm going to say. He's never going to do it. But I would put Sancho on the right wing. I really would. I want us to see us play with a right-footed right winger, and I think he was playing well in that position. So
would you play Anthony on the left then, Rick?
Look, I don't know how often he's played there, but I certainly wouldn't mind giving that a go. Not in it, you know, I wouldn't mind that one little bit. But I'd certainly put Sancho. Look, it doesn't matter. He's the manager's player. He was 90 million quid. Anthony's going to play. But if you're asking me what I'd do, I'd play Sancho. Whether I play Anthony or not, I would put Sancho on the right wing.
Do you remember what I was saying the other day, though, Rick, about, you know, having the ability for them to just swap sides during the game and have 15, 20 minutes on either wing and have a go at different fullbacks? That's exactly what should have happened today. You're not getting any joy down the one side. Swap sides and have another go and have a different look at it.
When you've got a right-footed player on the left and a left-footed player on the right, certain things happen where you think, we're talking about service. Did you see the one where Anthony tried an instant cross when it came to him, and it screwed off his boot, and I think it went for a dead ball? Yeah. Let's be honest, no disrespect to the kid. I think he's going to do all right for us, but it was pathetic, wasn't it?
It's not his stronger foot.
There's no point denying it. It was pathetic. And then a similar thing happened in the derby where he tried to fire it across and it just went to the keeper and the keeper just picked it up. Do you remember it? It's from a very similar situation with his right foot. You've got to be better with your right foot on the right wing, even if you are left-footed.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's it's almost like he had little like crisp packet ankles then, wasn't it? It's like he kicked it and his foot was just like floppy. It just didn't go anywhere. Good question here, actually, from NY Finest. Is a lack of competition stalling Dallow's performances? Now, for me, I mean, especially in the first half, he just seems to be losing possession for like silly passes. Kev, we'll go to you on this. I'm not sure, obviously, your opinions on Dallow, but yeah, obviously there is, you know, I mean, we've got Wan-Bissaka, but it's pretty clear that he's not favoured by, you know, there's probably something, some conversation that's been had there. But do you think that there is a right back that needs to be brought in order to bring the best out of Dallow again? I mean, you know, he's had a few games, and obviously everyone thinking he's the new best right back in the world, and he's kind of stalled a little bit rather than declined. It's just, you know, stalled. But do you think a new right back has to be brought in?
Yeah, man. 2 words I'd say there: comfort zone. That's where Dallow falls into at the minute. He's had a good run, and fair play to him, he's in there. But is Wan-Bissaka the kind of character? And I'll throw this out there anyway. Does he strike you as the kind of person who is going to do a Luke Shaw and go, right? You know, do you think of the time when Manchester United signed Tellez? Luke Shaw upped his game big time and got back into that Manchester United team. Competition for places is brilliant. And for Luke Shaw to look at Tellez, United signed him for what, 15, 16 million at the time, And Luke Shaw was like, "Nah, mate, you know, I'm up in my game. It's good in any walk of life, if any business, whatever it is. If you've got competition for your place or whatever, if you've got anything about you, you're going to up your game, and it motivates you to be better than that person who is trying to take your position." Now, for me, on that right-hand side, I would say I don't think Aaron Wan-Bissaka's got that about him. I think he's... Listen, I won't say too... yes, we need to sign a right back. And on that.
Do you know, though, it isn't helping. It isn't helping him, though, because he's played every minute of every game. He's knackered. He needs to come out of the team as well for his own well-being, and a chance to recharge and go again. So I think priority needs to be, not priority, but in the top sort of 3 priorities of signings, a right back has to be up there because, yeah, Ten Hag really doesn't fancy Wan-Bissaka at all, does he?
No. And isn't Dallow's contract's up? Is it at the end of this season?
Yeah, he's got an extra year that we can activate, hasn't he?
That we can,
yeah.
But yes.
I mean, at the start of the season, right back, I mean, we obviously not upgraded, but we obviously added in the left back side. I mean, right back was the side which I thought was going to be if we were going to, you know, buy a fullback, it was going to be for the right back side. But Tom putting in a super chat here: can Ricky straighten the Man U flag spirit level? ? We'll stick with Ricky as someone's got a question for him here. Would you agree Bruno is a false 10? He literally has no attributes of a traditional 10, no patience, horrid decision-making, no care on his passes, and no patience. I'm guessing by a false 10, he means as kind of the position that Eriksen played in, I believe, was it the first game where he played as almost a false 9, that almost, you know, fake striker kind of role.
Everybody seems to be trying to find a different position for Bruno. I think, did one of you say he should be playing at 6, or would we try him at 6?
Yeah, that was a super chat as well. Yeah,
yeah. Everyone's trying to find a different position for him. He just needs to be sat on the bench. He just needs to be sat on the bench. We've got to start trying to play better football. We've got to say it. I've been saying it for 2 years, and I wouldn't try him at a false 10 or at number 6. I'd just put him on the bench. We just need to get better players in the team. We need to get Eriksen back in next to Casemiro this weekend. I don't know who's fit to try and play in the number 10 role, but we don't necessarily have to have a number 10. We've got 2 wingers and a striker. It's too many attack-minded players. We could get murdered. I wouldn't be against. Well, McTominay's not eligible, but if McTominay was eligible, I won't be against us playing McTominay, Casemiro, and Eriksen, and let Eriksen go a little bit, give him license to get forward. You've still got 2 wingers and a striker. If you look how Liverpool play, they play with 2 wingers and a striker, but the 3 midfield players, they're always proper midfield players, not number 10s. They play with Henderson, Naby Keita, and Fabinho. Do you know what I mean? Players like that. They don't play with a number 10. They play with 3 midfield players and 3 forwards. We're playing with 4.
That's where the battle's won, isn't it?
Yeah. We're playing with 4 forwards. It's too many.
I'm interested to see, obviously, on the last fan forum, Ricky, where you said that you and Beth were going to have a little debate over Shaw and Bruno, and he's not putting in anywhere near the performances of kind of a couple years back. But a couple of super chats here to read out. Jensk again: Ten Hag signed Martinez and Casemiro for putty. I guess he means pity or stupidity, my opinion. Fair enough. Everyone's entitled to one. Malo Gusto is a right wing back United need. The sale of Wan-Bissaka would fund it. Can't say I've ever heard of that guy, if you ask me, in all honesty. But someone to look into, I guess. Here we go from Ruben. If you can bring in one player and only one player, who would it be and why? I guess this is one for, we can go around everyone here. We'll start with Jordan. If you could bring in one player, we'll go with in the January market with you got to put a reasonable budget. Let's just go for 50 million, let's say.
What is this, realistic, or is this a fantasy?
I mean, let's say we've got a budget in January of 50 million. If you can, bring one player in January for that kind of price, who would you go out there and get?
I would go out and 50 million. I'd go to Brentford and try and sign their striker, because I think he's a baller, and I think eventually he's going to go on to be worth a lot more.
Yeah, that's you actually took the words out of my mouth. When it got around to me, that's who I was going to go for. To be fair, is Ivan Toney. Kev, who would you like to bring in if the opportunity arose?
Kind of stole my thunder there, Jordan. I'm just going to look like I'm copying him now, man. You should have come to me first, but only because you give us. It's quite interesting to say 50 million, because at the start of the question, I thought it was just going to be left open.
Yeah,
so I was going to go. We're going to sign that robot from Erling Haaland. All our problems are sorted, man. We just bring him in here. He'll score 3 goals every game. We'll win everything, and everything will be sound again at Manchester United. But it's an interesting question because you've limited it to 50 million, and on the grand scheme of things, and you have to sort of be realistic about it. I think Ivan Toney for 50 million would be achievable. It would be. It would be. I'm trying to think of others as well, just to be kind of different. I'm sure people will throw it into the chat.
Do you reckon we could get Madison for 50 million?
I'm going to go with no. With no. They had 60 million rejected from Newcastle, didn't they? I think so. I'm aware we've hit the hour mark, and we'll end the show just after this last super chat coming in from Kevin.
Wait, I need to know Ricky was going to sign.
Yeah, come on,
Ricky. Yeah, Ricky, go on. Who would you go for?
Well, I would think straight away along the lines of us actually needing a striker. So I won't be against Ivan Toney, but it's a lot of money, 50 million quid. I'd probably try and sign 2 centre forwards for 10 or 15 million quid each and see how they do. And players who play the game the way I like it. And I'd probably try and sign Danny Welbeck for about 10 million quid.
Oh, come on, Ricky.
Ricky.
You were doing so well.
Ricky, you're off to a flyer.
I watch Brighton all the time. He's absolutely superb. He runs the show. We need somebody who can make it stick, like Martial plays, and move the ball around.
He's doing so well.
Okay.
Go on, Rick.
We'll move on to the last super chat from Kevin. Thoughts on David De Gea coming out of his comfort zone? Kev, we'll go to you. David De Gea coming out of his comfort zone. What do you think?
Is that even a question? I don't even know what that means. Thought on David De Gea coming out of his comfort zone.
You should have ended it after Ricky just dropped the mic on that Welbeck comment. That was it. There's nowhere else to go after that.
What does that even mean?
I guess maybe he's starting to come out of his box a little bit more, starting to show a little bit of the sweeper keeper that he has in him, a little bit more that type of stuff.
Well, that did make me laugh. It was in the second half when I think Robbie Savage was getting a bit excited on the commentary, and he was like, "Oh, brilliant! He's seen De Gea off his line." I was like, he literally passed it back to him, and he was like, "De Gea's been out on the edge of the box a lot this game." And I thought, well, in fairness, he's not had much to do, but it's a part of the game that David De Gea is definitely going to have to step up to, because the way that Ten Hag wants to play, and we have discussed it on the United Stand before, we've said, could De Gea moving forward, could it be a bit of an issue that he's not as comfortable playing out from the back and that? But he seems to have stepped up slightly, and so he's out of his comfort zone.
Nice one. All right, guys. Appreciate it was a lovely show, and I wish I did end it on that now on the bombshell. The mic drop of Danny Welbeck should have summed it up. It's brilliant. But I appreciate the show, guys. Hope you all enjoyed it. Hopefully, again, we'll be back. Well, we will be back no matter what the score is, obviously, after the Newcastle game. Hopefully, another victory, another 3 points. Appreciate everyone for stopping by and watching all the super chats. Really appreciate it. Hope I did get to all of them. If I didn't, then apologies. But we'll see you after the Newcastle game on Sunday. I'm not sure what time it is. Is it an afternoon?
2:00 kickoff.
2:00.
Okay. So we'll see you after that. Looking forward to it. Another 3 points, please. And we'll catch you on Sunday.